Well, what do you say, guys? Give it a go.
Let's get it going. Yeah.
All right. So today, on behalf of TradePending, we have the three of us. But Gwen, she's our senior product manager. I am Alex Valandia, the design and marketing manager for TradePending, and Jordan Coker, customer success manager extraordinaire. So these guys are going to be helping me out get through this deck, but also to teach you a little bit about what some of the best practices for Snap Offer and some cool things that are coming up for us. So starting off, let's talk a little bit about the questions that you can ask. Feel free. There's a question there. So at any point in the webinar, ask your question. If we see it, we can answer it then, or we'll get back to you a little bit later on. Just so you guys know, this webinar is being recorded. Obviously, we'll share this out tomorrow via email, so you can watch this and watch us talk about all the same things again, because it's going to be that good. Couple of things. Follow us on social media. That's where you're going to get like the most up-to-date tips, tricks, updates, that kind of thing. Also, check out that inventory sourcing checklist. We came up with 50+ ideas to help you source a bit more inventory. Inventory sourcing, a little bit of a pain point. You might have heard about it. But we're here trying to help you guys out to do that. And yeah, follow us on social media. So today, first things we're going to cover, just offer conversion stats, that mid-year benchmark, how you doing, how we're doing, adjusting the values if it's something you're looking for, and also just the best practices that you could do with offer to help you source more inventory or be more successful with the product overall. So Gwen, what's new?
Hey, yeah. So, yeah, first off, we're doing a little bit of rebranding. Most of the things I'm talking about here today are just some UI updates. The first of which is rebranding, so that now our products will reflect what they do. You know, we're kind of doing away with I think the word Matthew used was cutesy names that we have that are fun in a lot of ways, but now we'll be more reflective of what the products do. Is kind of inspired by bringing auto APR into the fold, and now we're gonna look like we're all one family of suite of products. So looking forward to those updates coming this week. And then the other updates that we have, I have one more slide in there, right, Alex? Just some UI updates that are going to be coming as well. Given while we had the hood up doing some changes on the front end and the way things look and feel, we did some assessment of where we could modernize, where we could make our look and feel a little bit more mobile friendly, which is important because a lot of our users are on mobile devices. So the market report is going to get a bit of an overhaul. Not any major functionality differences. Really, these tend to be cosmetic changes that you'll be seeing, but stay tuned for updates to the market report, as well as formerly known as superlatives, now going to be known as badges, getting some similar just updates to make things look more mobile friendly, more modern, easier for us to support and maintain. So there's some back end changes that you won't notice, but all of that is coming, and we're really excited to bring those out to you. They're coming in the next few weeks, so stay tuned.
That is exciting. I, for one, being in the marketing department, love the idea of going from superlatives to badges. It's way easier to say, and yeah, so we could just have that conversation to like, good, perfect. Let's keep moving on. So just a real quick thing, when we share out this deck tomorrow, if you aren't already one of our offer customers, Snap Offer customers, we do have a link here, just a little bit of a refresher of what the product actually does. It's a 3-minute video. Feel free to check it out. But today we're just going to cover how to tweak it. And yeah, so moving forward, let's talk a little bit about how we're actually going to show what offer actually does. And we're doing that by these metrics: the offer conversion and completion rate. And this is when you start off in the market report. There's a little button that says, actually, you can change the CTA, but sell us your car now, or find your single price offer, or whatever you want that to be, that little orange button in the center box on the top. And that's what this completion rate is derived from. And then we also have this auto start completion rate. And this is for people that send your users right into the questions. So this is you're not going through wanting that value range or whatnot. You're sending them right to your however many list of questions you want. And then from that point on, that's where we get that number. So let's start looking at those numbers. So these numbers were pulled from July. And so desktop, the offer conversion, 32%. And of those 32%, 70% of those people finish it. And then if we send them right to the auto start, looking at 89% from desktop. So these are very respectable numbers. And I think it's worth noting that, it's a good idea to have multiple avenues of entry. So some people might be wanting to get in that trade report, just curious, hey, what is my single offer number? I don't mind spending an extra couple minutes answering a few questions. Let's see what it is. But having both those avenues helps out. Mobile, we can see the numbers hold pretty steady through. And then finally, overall. And what I will say about all of these numbers is we took these numbers from this month, but we also looked at the numbers from last December and they hold steady. So pretty consistent, more users are using it today than they used to be, but the numbers hold true. So it's always a good idea to, hold ourselves accountable as well.
Absolutely.
And just to reiterate the fact of multiple avenues of entry, we took some stats from a 10 plus rooftop dealership, and we were looking at where they're actually coming from. So two little pie charts here. Let's call out how they're actually getting in. And you can see that some customers get in from landing page campaigns, and that could be just, an email going out. You have them directed right to a particular landing page, and that's where we're pulling that number from. But also your homepage, your search results page, and your vehicle description page. There are people entering from all those different avenues. So if you're not utilizing all of them, you could be missing out on some of those potential leads coming your way. And furthermore, let's look at the leads by device. We've got phone dominating. Look at that, 82.6% for this particular group of dealerships. And mobile is king. It's something that we've been seeing. It's nothing new, but it's so important to have your website set up for mobile with products that are or optimized for mobile as well. Awesome. All right. So Jordan, I'm going to lean on you a little bit here. Before we get to adjusting values, let's talk about our valuation methodology. It says we're built for this. Tell us a little bit about why TradePending is actually built for, this kind of crazy market that we're dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the biggest thing, with what we're seeing in the industry right now, I would say is, our software is going to pull your local market data, every 24 hours. This is, it's real-time data, just like the stock market, for instance. And we're going to do that by pulling a scatter plot of data. Kind of how that works to you in your local market is we're going to start within 25 miles of your dealership and go out in increments of 25 until we have roughly 40 to 50 vehicles to pin against it. With that, each of these data points has a story and a why behind it. It's going to show, if you hover your mouse over each data point, it's going to show the other cars, their sell price and their trade price. So what we're doing is providing that transparency in the market data that the consumers are looking for.
Right on. Well, yeah, local market matters, right? The car that's going for sale in New York is not the same as it's going to be worth in Kansas. So there's a multitude of reasons why the cars will be valued different in different states. So having these centered around your dealership will provide, accurate numbers for what's around you.
Definitely.
All right. So before we start adjusting those values, oops. All right. I went backwards. Let's keep going forwards. There we go. Try this. Looking at your competition. Jordan, you want to speak a little bit to this?
Yeah, I like this a lot. So you might get a lead in with a value that seems way off. Before you contact us to completely change your range, your prices of everything. Go to your a dealership across the street and shop some other tools around. See what those values are pulling from those opposite tools, whether it be KBB or Edmunds or anyone, just to see what everybody else is pulling from as well. If you still need to, change that number, then, I would reach out to your customer success manager or your RSM.
Yeah. Being able to compare yourself against, this is market research. You should be able to know what your competitors are pulling in so you can adjust your strategy accordingly. You want to be a little bit more aggressive, get some more of those cars. You want to dial it back because you think they've gone overblown. This is how you compare those numbers.
Absolutely.
All right, Jordan.
Okay. Yes. So, if you're going to change anything, I would make sure that you change the reconditioning. Now, the bottom 3 points that are advertising costs, the overhead, and the net profit that you see at the bottom, I would not touch those just because that validates that data that much more, coming from NADA. If you're going to do this, it's a really good and simple conversation to have with your CSM. I would pull, 5 or so vehicles, not necessarily a one-off vehicle, and say, hey, here's where my range is, here's where I would like it to be. And what I always tell dealers is I always want to make that top number look attractive enough to get the customer into the dealership, but I always want to make sure that I can come in above that bottom number.
Makes a lot of sense. So basically what we're saying is don't change everything based on one random unique vehicle. Like it's a Mercedes AMG wagon of which there's 8 in the entire United States. Don't base everything off of that one random car. Heard.
Right.
All right. Here are some things to avoid.
Yeah. And this goes back to, what we were just talking about is changing that range based on a 2-wheel drive truck or, a 2005 PT Cruiser or something like that. This is not something you want to say, hey, this came in $5,000 too high. Instead, you want to take a look at that dealer reconditioning fees and so forth, and make sure that that range presented for, your 5 vehicles in your wheelhouse that you see the most often, that those ranges are coming back where you'd like them to be.
Makes a ton of sense. All right. And here are some of those best practices.
So whenever you're going through your snap offer setup or account review and you want to make adjustments, on each question, you're going to have a minimum and a maximum of percent. Kind of how I like to help dealers with this is I say, hey, I don't want to, buy this car online. Let's get them into the dealership, and let's also make sure we save a few questions at the end as well. So with that minimum and maximum question, making that maximum number somewhat, of a realistic number of, the maximum cost it would be versus the very minimum it would cost you. Those are important numbers, but you really want to focus on the percent that's going to be in the middle, because we're going to stay within that maximum and that minimum, but we're always going to start with that percent. Next, I really like to use odd numbers, so at the very end of this, at the very end of the offer questions, the customer is presented with a breakdown of basically how they answered their test. Instead of, putting like $200, $300, let's make it look a little bit more itemized, a little bit more legit, and add like odd numbers. You can even add, like 50 cents in there. It's really, it makes more sense and it seems more legit. With the VIN and license plate question, I would highly recommend making that optional. If you don't, that's just going to discourage the consumer, and we're not even going to let them answer the rest of the question. That being said, if you have an accident question, for instance, and you want to make it a disqualifying question if they put that their car was towed and the airbags deployed, we're still going to allow them to answer the rest of the questions, but at the very end, we're going to display a message, a disqualifying message that you control. I think we have like 3 or 4 different options that we, kind of recommend, but I always like to make sure that the dealership number is in there. So if they call in and say, hey, I didn't get an offer, there must be a problem, that's an easy conversation to have, and that phone number is there for them.
Yeah, right on. So basically what you're saying is don't add unnecessary gates. Remember, the point of this is to get the person to come into your store so we can actually put eyes on the vehicle. So let's not give them any excuse to not come. We want those people to come, to be curious and to walk in.
Absolutely. So for best practices, it's kind of, let's make sure we put the bait in front of the fish. It's really important to have these options in each of your tab. Most importantly, I always like to make sure we have a sell trade tab. Now, this is going to give the customer 2 different options, but they can always get to that offer result at the very end as well. If I go through value my trade, that's going to present that trade range and that market report, but there's going to be that call to action underneath there. I think the data is around 30 to 40% of people then go on to get you know, that firm offer and that call to action that you control, but just making sure that your website looks clean and there's a clear path for the consumer to, you know, see that.
I believe you. I mean, we were talking earlier about you know, the where these leads to come from. We were showing the homepage, the VDP, SRP, and stuff like that. This is kind of the same mindset, isn't it, Jordan? That, you know, you want these to kind of be scattered around your website. So if they just happen upon it, that just gives them another opportunity to go ahead. I mean, it could be going to the same page, and a lot of times it might be, but it just gives them more opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right here. I mean, homepage, super important, just below the fold. First thing, you know, I do when I get on one of these dealership websites is, okay, I see this big, beautiful image, and then, but give me some content. I love the flag, love America. Let's scroll down, let's see. Hey, look, value your trade. Perfect. I can go ahead and figure out what the price of my vehicle would be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Make me think, show me what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So this is a really, I'm sorry, Alex, are you about to say something?
Nah, you got it, man.
So I really like this because, you know, this not only gives you the consumer a clear route to, you know, achieving their goal, but also a separate way to market both of your solutions that you have with TradePending. You know, I can go to the sell your car landing page and start right into the questions, whereas I would go to the value of your trade to go to that market report first. And it's important, you know, kind of to have the snap or excuse me, offer with I guess just with Snap in general. It's going to give the consumer, if for anybody who doesn't want to necessarily see a range and they're like, hey, there's no way I'm getting this top number, I want a single number. Instead of them bouncing, they can click that call to action to get that firm offer.
Yeah, the new names are still new with us too. So
I know, yeah.
Yeah, I got mixed
trade,
up there.
and then Snap offers now offer. Yep. All right. And then this is just speaking to different call to actions. You know, test them, try them out, see which ones work best for your customers, switch them up to keep things fresh. But all these things stay roughly the same thing, and they'll take you to the same kind of page. But
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's almost like, you know, you want to go on your website and play as if you're just, you know, kind of a consumer there to look at the inventory. What is going to incline you to click on those call to actions that you have set up, like whether it be click here for a cash offer, or, you know, just think like a consumer whenever you're going through those steps.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to that point, Jordan, I will say, like, when is the last time you say, I'm Mr. Dealer here. When was the last time I went through the customer experience on my own website? You know, not every dealership website is perfect, and, you know, there might be broken links, but it's your website. You want to make sure everything works, and you want to make sure the process is as smooth as possible, as quick as possible. So get on your own
Absolutely.
website, check it out.
Absolutely.
Make sure it's working.
And there might be stuff that you overlook on your website. So it's important to get, you know, a fresh set of eyes, you know, on your website, whether that be your customer success manager doing an audit of your site, because you're looking at it every day. You might not notice something that we would be able to point out for you. You know, and this is a really big thing too. You know, instead of making the consumer read a Harry Potter book on a question, let's just, you know, let's cut to the chase here. Let's get them to the end. Let's get them to the finish line and get them that offer as fast as possible. Keep it simple, short, and sweet.
Love it.
Same thing here. You know, you don't want to have 25 questions. If you want to have 25 questions, you know, by all means do that. And most importantly, it's important to note that at the beginning, whenever we, you know, get their first, last name, email, and phone number, as soon as they click that next button, that lead is going to be in your CRM. So if they do quit out and you have a lot of questions, don't be discouraged. You're still going to have their information. But it's also important to get them more interested, more engaged, to get that number in front of their face.
Yeah, it's so convenient for us to get the info up front.
Absolutely. And you definitely don't want to, you know, ask every single question to where the person shows up and the appraiser is like, well, there's nothing else to look at or ask, you know, here's your offer. You want to save some room for him to, you know, kind of work the deal as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's such a great point, isn't it? That idea of it's not intended to replace your appraiser. It's there to get a good idea of what we're looking at and let your people finish the job when your customer's on site.
and we're
Absolutely.
talking about baseball earlier. Let's just get them in the ballpark, right?
Yeah.
All right. And like that, we don't have, a million pictures or forms with like 30 questions on them. That's not the point of this thing. The point of this thing is to, help get people enthused and in the door so we can put our own eyes on your vehicle, check underneath and see if there's rust or whatever. But it's just getting people in the door.
Well, and the
Absolutely.
good thing that Jordan keeps reminding me of when we were talking about it is and see what works, right? Test it out, see what works. Check your results if you're getting what you expect from those questions or not. Adjust them as you need to, right?
100%.
Absolutely. I've never heard of anybody not being able to gross more with Snap Offer. I 9 times out of 10, I think I've seen and heard of people doubling their gross that they're getting on vehicles.
Dang.
That's wild.
Absolutely.
So this Jordan, on the back end, tell us a little bit about, having your CRM.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you can do, with Offer, let's just say, that like you have a certain strategy set into place and you only want your used car manager, your sales manager handling these leads to, close that deal. This is definitely a more serious lead than just a trade lead. We can actually have your sales manager's email address and have him send a notification through his email of each time a Snap Offer lead is submitted.
Yeah, that quickness to the responding is hugely important. They gone through our process, which is fairly quick, and we want to continue on that same quickness for the consumer. So let's just get the notification where it needs and get it received by either your BDC or your sales manager or whoever be handling that in a quick way, because leads do get old and we want to prevent that.
Absolutely.
This is a little fun thing from Morgan Auto Group, one of our friends from TradePending.
Hey, Stephen Jones here, General Manager of Ramsey Board in Lake City. Would you like quick cash for your car with no questions asked? Then check out the all-new Ramsey Board Buying Center. Skip the games and gimmicks. It's cash offer guaranteed with a free no obligation cash offer. You'll get your payment the same day you turn in your keys. Plus, we'll buy your car even if you don't buy from us. Get started today at the Ramsey Board Buying Center online at ramseyboard.com.
I really like that video.
Yeah, no, it was a good one. I like that. So they were talking about a buying center and had some pretty important CTAs on there. Jordan, what do you think, man?
I really like that. Most importantly, at the end of the day, this is your buying center. It's not anyone else's. This is your number that you create, and you can brand it any way, shape, or form that you can possibly think of, as far as building a custom landing page to where it says Roundtree Moore Ford Buying Center, and click here to start. It's your tool at the end of the day.
Love it. And the CTA, even, if you don't even plan on buying from us, let us take a look at your car anyway. So, I think it's important that some people come into a dealership or into a dealership process thinking, oh, I got to trade this in for something else. That's not true. You can absolutely sell your car without needing to buy one. They're definitely looking for vehicles, so might as well try and get some of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And really, you can even go to the measure of, in that CTA is saying, will be any offer that you receive by $500. Just get them engaged, start the conversation, give yourself a chance.
Absolutely. And to that point, getting them engaged, Jordan, tell me a little bit about email outreach.
Yeah, so with the email outreach, what we can do with this is have something set up where we send an automatic email to the consumer, whether they just get, a trade report or a trade market report, and say, hey, if your range wasn't, what you were looking for, click here to, get a single number on your vehicle. And it's all this messaging is completely, customized, and it's yours.
Yeah, for marketing, email is really king still. For one, it's free. And two, like you're right, you can customize the messaging, you can track it with UTM trackers. And this is a good little opportunity for me to plug the TradePending knowledge base. We can help you with that. Like, we've already got some email templates built out for this based on monthly messaging. We can show you how to make UTMs that'll track on Google Analytics. We've got articles for that as well. But more than anything, give a shout out to your customer success manager. They'll help you walk through this stuff. Doesn't hurt us at all.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Test what works, try stuff, do more of the good, less of the bad.
Yeah. This actually reminds me of a Kraft Nissan. I was there 6 months ago. They ran one of these deals and they got 500 leads from 2 emails
Wow.
in just a couple of weeks. They had to grow their BDC department, and they just were killing the game over there.
Yeah, and I would definitely encourage you guys to, lean on your customer success manager. They work with a lot of dealers. They know what everybody's doing, what's working and what's not working, what's getting people more inventory and what's not. I would just encourage, everyone to reach out to them. Just have an account review, just start the conversation.
Yeah. To that point, we also have case studies on our website. If you just go check out the resources and case studies there, we have tons of successful dealerships that are using these things that we talked about today and how they're doing it. And, you can have these same results. We're replicating them all the time. But this is probably my favorite part of the webinars. We've come to the Wobbly Bird page. So basically, you can just claim one. Go to this bit.ly /wobbly bird. It is case sensitive. If you check out this PDF that we'll be sending tomorrow, it is actually a link, so you can just click on that and you can get your own. I've got my own. Gwen, I see yours in the background there.
There he is.
They're silly. I love them. Jordan, I'm sure you have one in the office down there in Charleston.
I do.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's all I got. This is Gwen. Again, thank you so much for coming in, being an expert. Me being the MC, and Jordan being our success manager, who I can attest has made this webinar a success. So there we go. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
I appreciate it, and have a good one.